Spirit of the Law, and I'm your host for the evening, Christu Opperman from Kalima Attorneys. We are coming to you live from South Africa. Now, viewers, I hope you have enjoyed your Youth Day celebrations yesterday and shall continue to do so throughout the month. And to those outside South Africa, Youth Day is a special day that we celebrate on the 16th of June every year, and whereby we do so throughout the whole month of June. Now, tonight's episode, we shall focus on the youth in general and their rights, such as education and all of the important issues they are currently faced with, in order to see one day if they can realize their future dream career goals. We are very fortunate enough tonight to have law students with us in order to join us for this very informative discussion. Welcome, guests.
Thank you.
Now, can each and every one of you please introduce yourself by stating your name, age, and the tertiary institution from which you study.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm Nancy Mushiane. I'm 25 years of age and I study with UNISA, studying my LLB and currently doing my final year.
Great.
Good evening, viewers. My name is Chanda Bwalia. I'm studying with UNISA, LLB Law. I'm in my second year and I'm 25 years of age.
Good evening, viewers. I'm Sunazo Liwani. I'm doing my LLB at Wits University. I'm 20 years of age.
A warm welcome to you all to the Spirit of the Law.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For having us.
Now, viewers, if some of you are now watching and you are at a young age trying to decide what you want to do one day, please stay glued to the screen. Because what do you want to do one day? Do you want to pursue your future career? Are you currently undertaking an activity in order to realize your dream as well? Please give us a call, send us your comments, and join us for this very interesting discussion that shall follow. You can either call or comment on numbers that will appear on your screen below. You can also send us an email at spiritofthelaw@loveworldsat.org. You can also visit our UCORS page, whereby the address will appear on your screen below. Now, guests, pertaining to all the issues that the youth are currently faced with, specifically what you want to do one day in terms of your future career goals, do you think, in terms of all the job opportunities that are available in our country, do you think there are enough job opportunities for everyone?
I'm glad you used the term all. I would say yes, there are. There are plenty of job opportunities, depending on how you differentiate between opportunities and employment.
Yes.
Because immediately when we think job opportunities, what I think we fail to do is differentiate between employment and job opportunities. Because the minute we think employment, we start thinking the unemployment rate. But are there opportunities? Is there an opportunity that you could say, look, I have this opportunity, I could be an entrepreneur? That's
Yes.
an opportunity all on its own. Another thing in interpreting job opportunities, we look at industries that need people, skilled people. You start looking at the type of industries that you need to go to, that there are opportunities of jobs, if I'm making sense.
But the issue is actually, and I hope you two can also just join me in this, do you think people are actually aware of the opportunities out there? Because isn't the problem a lack of awareness? Because when you get high school students in their matric year trying to decide what they want to do one day, they sometimes have limited choices. So do you think there's a lack of awareness of all the opportunities available?
I think so, because if you look at the matriculants, they're not well informed in schools. At least if we have like a career guidance teacher or lesson every day for us to inform our matriculant students, I think they will be more informed.
But who do you think that duty falls on? Do you think it's just a government issue, or should it be an integrative approach? Should the private sector be involved? Should the parents themselves be involved? How do you think an awareness type of campaign can be promulgated?
I think everyone has the duty to participate in informing the youth and guiding them as to the career
Because they
choices.
are our future
Yes,
leaders one day.
Everyone
Yeah.
should be involved because this is our country. We should all be hands-on.
Yes.
But then I feel like with the information and stuff, I feel that it's only restricted to certain schools and stuff. Like your Model C schools, private schools, those schools get enough information, but the rural schools and other schools are restricted in a way.
So the issue is access.
Yeah.
But one thing I would say is, what are young people themselves doing about it? Are they waiting for somebody to come to their school and tell them, look, there's this career opportunity, you could do this when you're done with school, you could look at such avenue.
That's an important thing that our youth should understand. They should have that drive to actually look for what they want to do one day. It is difficult for access and so forth, but there should be that passion involved.
Yes.
Do you agree?
I don't agree. I think, where does that drive come from? That drive has to come from the parents, from the teachers, and from the government.
The background.
Yes, the background. If they do, the drive doesn't just come from the students. We need to show them the path, where to go.
Set an example.
Yes, some of them, they're confused. They don't know what to choose. Yes. Some of them, you see them doing a lot of subjects, but they don't know what to major in.
Or sometimes you get matriculants who take a gap year. They take a gap year, they are confused, they have lost that drive to do what they want to do, and then they just end up in a job which they're not happy, and it can be a job whereby they'll be let go one day because it's one of the jobs whereby the unemployment rate is very high, and so forth.
But when do our youth in this current day and age take a stand and say, this is my life? I mean, we're sitting here celebrating June 16. If you go back
38 years.
Exactly. If you go back to the history, you'll find that parents were at work at that particular time when the uprising happened.
Yes.
Nobody was there to say, look, young people, we need to do this and this and this. Those young people decided for themselves that we need to take a stand. This is our life.
Yes.
And youth today need to do that for themselves. They need to stand up and say, you know what, this is my life and this is what I want for my life.
And in terms of the historic background that led to the Constitution, the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa that came into force, specifically Section 29, the right to education, basic education and further education. Do you all think and believe that the right to education as endorsed in the Constitution is promoted, respected and protected?
With the recent study that was done by the World Economic Forum, it revealed that South Africa has one of the lowest education rates in the whole world, and our maths and science was ranked...
Specifically within Africa as well?
Yes, yes. And our maths and science was ranked the second lowest. And that in itself shows that not much is done to promote education, and, the government is not, to a certain extent, the right is being violated. Yeah.
I don't think, yes, education has become more of a commodity, and it is a right, and everyone must be able to access education. But now education, for you to access education, you have to have the money, and whereas now education is now expensive, the tuition fees are now lofty. So if we look at it, the ordinary South African might not be able to afford the basic education, whereas now the rights are being violated.
But there are fundings out there. If you as a student apply yourself and obtain good marks, you will get that funding.
But sometimes the issue is you get sometimes people who get 5 A's and then they can't make it for that funding because there is certain requirements you have to meet. So there's that difficulty in funding as well. We
look at people getting A's. This is something that I feel strongly about. What about people getting your average D's? I come say I'm a young person, I don't have the I'm not your average A student.
Straight distinction.
Exactly, but I give it my all. What happens? My parents aren't able to take me to school. When I apply for funding, they want straight A's. What happens to me? Just because I'm not your average A student, does that mean that I'm unable to go to school? Does that mean that I am unable to get funding? Somebody will tell me there's NSFAS. I struggle with that word. But what happens is that there are so many students that they struggle to meet the need. That is what I see in my institution, that if you're not there before 10 when funds come out, then unfortunately, sorry for you, you're not going to get funding.
And I also think that the institutions are depending so much on the government. The private sector has to come in and also fund those students.
An integrative approach as well.
Like for example, a law firm must come in at UNISA and take a certain amount of students who are studying law and take them in and pay for their fees, and then after when they're done, they go and work for that law firm, if they can do that. So we need also the private sector to come in and integrate and be a driving force together.
Now, talking about funding in general, do you think that with varsities or universities or any other type of studying institutions, by the years getting more expensive, do you think high school students today will be able to get quality education with all the tertiary institutions getting more expensive
Certainly
by
not.
the day?
Certainly not. I mean,
Because yes,
depending-
funding is available, but
Yes.
it's one of the issues in the whole
it's
circle, in
limited.
the whole bin of issues that must be dealt with.
Certainly not. I mean, if you look at education, we're talking about basic education, depending on where you want to take
Where you start.
where you start, depending on the quality of education you want to get. Basic education is very expensive. Imagine a high school learner, by the time they get to tertiary, it's going to be very difficult.
In the Constitution, by Section 29, the right to education, it says that the state, there's a positive action is on the state to promote education, obviously. It says it must do so whereby it's fairly reasonable and progressively realizing such a right. But here comes the question, specifically something that Julius Malema of the EFF was pitching, and which is available around the world as well. Free education. Do you think it's possible in South Africa for free education at this stage to be possible?
Not at this stage, certainly not. Certainly.
Because we must first develop in order
Free
to have,
education
don't
is
think-
very risky, by the way.
unless there should be higher taxes on the normal
Free education
citizen.
is risky because I was looking at a survey by the IMF. They said that in 2013, the economy of South Africa grew by 2%, whereas that's very deplorable. And we have a growing population, and that's not adequate for the population. So if we do free education right now, we are going to fall into another deficit that we're not going to be able to recover in.
Yes.
So we can't do free education right now for
And
the
higher
people.
taxes can't be imposed on normal citizens for such free basic services to be available. Specifically with the National Health Insurance Scheme people want to bring in. But that's another issue on its own.
At this stage, I also feel that South Africa has a lot to focus on. There's housing issues, there's water access, there's other things that the health is also not good. So now if South Africa is going to focus on only that aspect, it's gonna destroy a lot of things. Yeah.
In other sectors.
Now, if I may interject, now that's what we have to focus on President Jacob Zuma's State of the Nation address tonight. What is he
certainly.
actually going to focus on? Because the main thing, obviously, on focus now is the mining strike and the economy, how we should deal with that. But what about education, health? The economy obviously affects those, but separately, how would we deal with it? So it's going to be interesting what it's going to state.
Yeah,
Very
he has to focus on the youth, because if you look at the population of South Africa, 70% of the population are youth, below 35. So if he focuses on the youth and invests in the youth, because we are the next generation leaders and we are going to be the ones running South Africa in the next 10 years. If he has to focus on our education and the job and creating employment, I think that would be a varied point for him to do.
I remember when I was in high school in grade 9, I actually did an essay, South Africa and what's the future for the youth. And in my personal opinion, not much has changed, specifically with the unemployment rate going higher as it is. How do you three think the unemployment rate can be dealt with? In terms of people wanting to pursue their future careers, should they have a passion to have their future careers, that they know which area of employment they're going to enter to make sure they'll stay there? Or how would you...
Okay, we can go.
Pardon me. Certainly passion. I was speaking to you earlier on about how I feel about passion. Passion, drive. If you have the passion and you have the drive for to do what you love, nothing can stop you. Certainly passion. It could come back to unemployment rate, because we find situations where I started off, okay, I want to do law. Mom and dad said it's okay, it's a great career, and 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, I feel this is not what I want. What happens? I would have filled somebody's space for no good reason.
So it's passion and certainty.
Passion, certainty,
And going
passion.
out there, doing your research, being sure that you want to do this. I mean, it's a waste of time and resources doing something that you're going to later decide that, oh, this is not me, you know. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to continue with our discussion after this quick break. Please join us.
These are born-again youth, a new creation, a different kind of species. I'm talking about young people that are unapologetic preachers of the gospel. They speak words that contain life. They heal the sick, raise the dead. Don't look too far to catch what I'm talking about. They're revealed in scriptures like David, Joshua, and Daniel. Inseparable with the word of God, and like Jesus Christ himself, the Master, one with the Father. Like the apostles of the early church, I'm talking about youth that are missionary Christians. Yes, they are about their Father's business. With their mouths, they pray more into reality, and the results are evident. See them rise above trouble, tailor-made for victory. They treat challenges like bread. Youth that laugh at life circumstances, proclaiming victory at every turn. I look around and see Apostle Chris Yakilova's generation that walk in faith and know no fear. I call them the tongue-talking generation, divinely connected, anointed, influential, and backed by divinity. They're a kingdom of talkers, speaking wisdom and ushering the call of divinity. Lift up their eyes and see. Their city set on a hill, a hope to their generation, a miracle to the society. Be aware, when they show up, the kingdom shows up.
Welcome back, viewers, and to those that have just joined us, especially the young viewers, a very warm welcome as we are discussing the youth and the issues they are faced with currently in the South African context. Now, guests, in continuing our discussion, what sectors of the country, specifically South Africa, or maybe Africa as a whole, if you think, are there a shortage of employees?
You know, most people would say engineering, but for me, I feel that teachers, we need teachers. Our education needs help. We need to invest more on
And that's
our
where the link
teachers.
came in, the right to basic education, where you
Yes.
start that nurture at school must be done efficiently
We
and
need
properly.
more skilled teachers, yeah. I feel that most schools, especially in the rural areas, we still have unqualified teachers, underqualified teachers that are inexperienced and don't have the proper qualifications. So if we get that right, then we can, the foundation of the country can be solid in that way. Yeah.
I think we have skilled teachers. It's just that the teachers are not getting paid enough to fulfill their passion. But what I think
Passion.
is, yes, the passion. What I think is
Which boils down to passion.
passion. Yes,
And
it
what
does.
else?
That drive to
The
do
risk
best.
of free education.
Yeah.
But we can't have free education in this South Africa.
Because if we have free education, it means that teachers won't get paid as much. And are they gonna give it their all?
And right now they're not being paid enough. Yes, I think the IT industry. We're in the computer era right now, and
Yes.
everything is going to IT.
Yes.
A company can't function without computers right now. So I think we need to invest more in the IT industry for people, so that South Africa is
Keep that system going.
Yes, because South Africa is still growing in the IT industry. Once it has grown and exploded, you're going to see that there's a shortage in IT.
For us to educate those IT skilled whatever,
No, Sinazo,
we
you
need
raised- you
teachers
raised
that
a
are
very
going to
valid
educate
point.
them. So
You
we
raised a
need to
very valid
invest on our
point.
teachers first before we can invest on
But
the
the issue here, I guess, is skilled. You need skilled labor force.
Skilled,
yes.
But the thing is, then we must have the drive or passion to nurture South African skilled people and try to obtain a balance by having imported skilled labor and relying on our own,
I
so
think
that we can have a purely South African bred economy.
I think South Africa, we have the drive and the passion. The only thing that we need is the solution to this, to find a solution to cover up and to be able to cover up and discover what we really want in this country.
Yes, because sometimes in terms of in terms of the sector, such as technology, sometimes we obviously need to trade with other countries to get the best scientific personnel or equipment. But there are those sectors where South Africa can achieve a lot in.
Okay, having listened to my fellow guests, I think we are still missing the point, which is something that we've been informed every day If you watch the news, you're being informed. Lack of engineers, lack of scientists. And what we young people tend to do is
Why do you
fall-
think there's a lack in those specialist fields?
Mathematics.
Because maths and science, we're not getting a good foundation there. We
Indeed.
need teachers to educate us so that our maths and science can be good.
But in that educating us, are teachers advising us to take math and science? Are they
Definitely.
enabling
They-
young
they-
people
In
to
terms
be
of subject
engineers,
choices, it is promoted.
scientists?
Yes, they are. I also think that science and engineering, those courses are expensive. That's why more people opt to go for other courses when you look at the costs.
And also, if you look at the schools across South Africa, we don't have enough science resources in schools, science textbooks, things to do experiences in class. So most students have to rely on textbooks. That's not enough to actually, because science is a texting subject.
But in the end, by going back to the basics of getting proper education, when you look at the whole Limpopo textbook crisis, some people, when you hear over the radio, students from grade 1 already, starting their career actually from school, they would want to do well in a master's, but they can't because they don't have textbooks. So it's all about service delivery as well from the government in the end. But what are your comments regarding
But
that?
do we not feel like there's only so much that the government can do?
That's why I say
Considering the population,
It's
the South
constitutionally
African-
entrenched, that's the thing.
But there's
And
so
it is understandable that it's reasonably practical. Or
we,
what's
we
practicable.
depend so much on the government. The government is not going to do enough. We need to focus also on the private sector. The private sector has to chip in. Us as parents, we have to chip in. The parents also have to chip
indeed.
in. Not
Do you,
only
do
the
you
government.
think then the right to education clause in the Constitution must then interpreted in that way?
I
For an
think
integrative approach.
it would make more sense if it were to be interpreted that way, because then it would open some sort of avenue for private sectors to join in, to say, you know what, let's do something about our education system. Let's
Just-
not just sit back and wait.
Just imagine if we gave the tender of the Limpopo scandal to a company.
Yes.
They would have delivered private sector. Now we gave it to the government. The government has so much
To do.
to do,
Indeed.
and we're
All the other
exhausted, and
duties.
it's exhausting its resources right now. And it has to combat inflation, not only poverty, a lot of
Health.
things, and
Housing.
housing, yes.
Health.
No. Your issue with the shortage of teachers. And what else would
Skilled
you
teachers.
skilled
yes.
teachers? How would you corroborate that in terms of skilled teachers? Because there's only so many people that can be teachers.
And willing to be teachers.
willing-
That's
to
the
be
thing.
teachers.
Patience with children, but not patience. That passion and drive.
Passion,
Drive.
yes,
Drive.
yes. Like what he said, I think also the private sector has to come in and help out the government. Yeah, because there's a lot that has to be done.
And I think in advising young people to be teachers, it would make more sense if we tell them, or they are to be told that, you know what, follow your passion. If it's what drives you, then follow that. Not just be a teacher because we lack teachers, because then you'll have a situation where somebody is just there.
The thing is, it should be an all-encompassing approach. Passion, but knowing that it is a field where there is a shortage.
A shortage,
You should
yes.
enter that field. But also field to make a living. Because there can be young viewers watching now who want to find a job where they can be passionate about, but knowing that they
thinking-
can make a living. Because that's the
Indeed.
fine balance between passion
I don't
and getting a good salary in the end of the day.
Yes.
I don't think learners would want to be teachers, because I remember back in my days in high school, our teachers used to actually encourage us not to become teachers because they don't earn much, they don't have enough benefits. So why would you want to pursue that career?
And me
'Cause
as a
we're
young
all in
person,
there for
I'm
the
thinking,
money.
no.
Yeah.
Well, talking from personal experience, I know someone who's studying now to be a teacher.
Teacher.
Okay, we've got a caller guests. Sipo,
Hello.
a warm welcome to the Spirit of the Law. How are you?
Hey, good evening.
Good evening. Can you please give us your question or comment?
Thank you so much. I've just been listening to the students.
Yes, what is your question or
Hello?
comment, please? Hello, we can hear you.
Oh, I've just been listening and following up on the show, and I'd like to leave a comment.
Yes, you're
especially
very
in
welcome
terms
to.
of the educational system.
What is your
I
comment?
think our government has done so much to improve our educational system, and in terms, especially when you look at tertiary, I think we've got the best tertiary education in Africa,
Yes.
and so many universities and so many opportunities that students have.
Yes.
And this is the challenge that mostly that we have with our nation today, that we don't appreciate the things which the government has done in for 20 years, and
Yes.
thereby you see students, resorting to strikes, mass action, things like that. But if they would actually look outside South Africa and see what is being done by other nations, I think they would appreciate so much what the South African government is doing in terms of our education.
Good.
So I think that we can still improve on it, but let's pause and thank the government for what they've done so far,
That appreciation.
especially when we compare our government to what other nations are doing. I think we are one of the best countries, and our tertiary education is one of the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. What are your comments regarding Sifo's view?
I agree with him, absolutely. The government has done its part and it can only do so much.
But in terms of that comment, tertiary level, I also agree with it. It is a very excellent
It's
level.
standard.
But the basic level, leading to the tertiary level, that should also be mastered, don't you think?
I don't think so. Looking at the tertiary level, how many learners from matric go into varsity? How many? If you look at it, less than 30% out of the 100% that have, matriculated. So I don't think the government has done enough to provide for the matriculants.
Yes.
We need more tertiary. We need to make tertiary education affordable right now.
Yes.
You say the government hasn't done enough. How so?
The education has become more of a commodity. It's no longer a right. Education must be accessed by merit, not by can you afford it. Right now it's being accessed by those guys who can afford education, not by merit or by anything. But
do you, like the caller said, the quality of tertiary education, wouldn't you say government has done enough so far?
But to enter
now going back to Sinazo,
tertiary,
Sinazo's point, when you look at the scientists, we don't have tertiary institutions that can provide, experiments for the students. Like if you want to have, like, let's say a robotics student, where is he going to do his studies? He has to go to NASA in the USA to do his studies.
we've got another caller guests. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, how are you?
Foundation yourself. Can you please give us your name?
My name is Bison, and I'm calling from Randburg.
Very warm welcome. Can you please give us your comment or question?
Yes, I wanted to say concerning the free education. If the government was focusing more on education instead of certain departments like ETO, I think education would be boosted in South Africa, as well as they can take example from companies like ESCOM and Nedbank, Standard Bank. They offer scholarships towards students that can improve their education. So I think if the government was focusing on more vital departments in South Africa, the economy, as well as the students, the youth, and South Africa would be.
I'm sorry to cut you off there, caller. We have run out of time, but we do understand your comment. Now, we have come to close to today's show, but I would like to thank you for joining us, and I hope we can have another informative discussion again very soon.
Thank you
for
very
joining
much.
us.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
And viewers, please join us next week again. Have a great evening.